Part 86. The debt of human kindness is not good to pay as well. Yi Yang sat cross-legged on the chair and looked at concubine Tianzi opposite. He really wanted to hit the wall. Why does this guy know about Shui Chen's cheating and leaving the palace? Obviously, they acted so carefully. How did concubine Tianzi know this day? He kept his expression as normal as possible and replied lightly, "I don't know what concubine Tianzi will say." Shu Tianzi knew that Yi Yang would deny it, so she did not rush to explain, but turned to talk about other things. "Young master concubine Yi, I want it. If I don't have much, just find a way to send me out of the palace. And I promise that the second person will never know about this." Yi Yang continued to pretend to be deaf and mute with a constipated expression on his face. "I don't know what concubine Tianzi said. What to send out of the palace? If I have the ability, I will send myself out of the palace first." Shu Tianzi saw that he was acting stupid, and she was angry. He would do it when he sent Shui Chen out of the palace, but not if he sent her out of the palace. What about equal treatment? Seeing that Yi Yang was determined not to admit it, she threatened. "Young master concubine Yi, do you want me to make this a big issue?" Yi Yang sat upright in an instant, wondering what concubine Tianzi wanted to do. Shu Tianzi was also determined to leave the palace, so she coldly threatened, "Young master concubine Yi, if it is rumored that General Mo's lover is the imperial concubine, what kind of terrible public opinion will they face?" Yi Yang was shocked and couldn't help but scolded, "I rely on Shu Tianzi. Shui Chen is your cousin." Shu Tianzi, who was scolded, looked aggrieved. "Young master concubine Yi, now the emperor comes to you every day and leaves us all behind. In the back of my head, instead of letting me die alone in this deep palace, it is better for me to go outside the palace to seek freedom. How about I will persuade the emperor to go to your palace tonight to accompany you?" Yi Yang felt that persuading the emperor to go to concubine Tianzi's palace is easier than letting concubine Tianzi leave the palace. This time, Shu Tianzi looked constipated. Seeing that Shu Tianzi didn't answer, Yi Yang took it as his acquiescence. He stood up and said, "It's decided. Tonight, I persuade the emperor to go to your palace and sit down." Shu Tianzi exploded, "Young master concubine Yi, you said that if concubine Ling knew about this, what kind of splashes would he find?" Yi Yang's hair stood on end when he heard the words of concubine Ling. If concubine Ling knew about this, if anything, concubine Ling will definitely put him to death. He was well aware of concubine Ling's hostility towards him. If concubine Ling knew about this, he would definitely die miserably. "I couldn't stop scolding my mother in my heart. Why did Shu Tianzi find out about Shui Chen's fake death and leave the palace? Depends on my luck." Seeing Yi Yang's gloomy face, Shu Tianzi was also afraid of scaring Yi Yang hard. So, she didn't go out to the palace and didn't say anything. Instead, she caused herself a lot of commotion. "Hi? It is just to leave the palace. If I leave the palace, I will definitely change my name and surname, and I will never let anyone know that I am Shu Tianzi. You are so demanding that you are not high enough. What is the requirement to be called high? He just took away an imperial concubine, and it is impossible to ask the emperor to send away another concubine so quickly and brazenly." Seeing that Yi Yang was still silent, Shu Tianzi took out her trump card and said quietly, "So, it turns out that young master concubine Yi said that he owed me favors was false? It seems that I thought too much." Yi Yang's heart vomited blood. He did owe Shu Tianzi a favor because of Xiao Anzi before, and he also said that as long as Shu Tianzi had any difficulties, she could come to him. He didn't expect that this day would come so quickly. Shu Tianzi found him so quickly and asked him for help. But it's hard to help, after all, the emperor can't pass him. He didn't have the cheek to ask the emperor to send another concubine out of the palace. Can you change another one? Yi Yang asked weakly. However, Shu Tianzi stood up and said, since it's embarrassing, forget it. Before I became young master concubine Yi, I was just joking. After that, she turned around in dejection and was about to leave. Yi Yang knew that the other party was aggressive, but he had to compromise. So, he opened his mouth and said, take it slow in advance. After all, I just sent away the imperial concubine. If I send another concubine away, I am afraid that others will be suspicious. Get what he wants. For his answer, Shu Tianzi's face was full of joy, so she sat back in her place, smiling innocently, since young master concubine Yi is so generous. Can you give me the perfume formula? Yi Yang was very speechless. I deeply understand what it means to be too far. Shu Tianzi was afraid of Yi Yang's rejection, so she said pitifully, I will definitely not be able to go home after leaving the palace, so I need a craft to make money. Otherwise I will definitely starve to death if I leave the palace. She is very envious of the profit of perfume. After all, no one else has such a good thing. If she goes out of the palace to sell perfume, she will definitely make a profit. When she has freedom and money, he will live the beautiful life she dreams of. Yi Yang remained speechless. Although he was speechless to Shu Tianzi, he praised Shu Tianzi's mind very much. While pursuing freedom, she also prepared a retreat for herself, so that she would not starve to death after leaving the palace. In the end, under Shu Tianzi's eager eyes, Yi Yang nodded, which made Shu Tianzi happy. She forbade the smile on her face, and left. Tonight's Yi Yang was a little too enthusiastic, which made Jun Yi a little confused. He hugged Yi Yang, who was lying down, and asked softly, are you tired? Tired, definitely tired. But there is no way, who asked me to ask of you? Yi Yang was so depressed, he didn't even know how to say it. After hesitating for a long time, he finally said nothing and fell into a deep sleep. Jun Yi didn't get Yi Yang's reply for a long time, and when he looked down, he found that Yi Yang was already tired and fell asleep, and there was a faint smile on the corner of his mouth. Gently caressing Yi Yang's face with his hand, only to realize that this face has undergone earth-shaking changes without knowing it. The originally feminine face has now become sunny, cheerful and confident, making people sink into it at a glance. He hugged Yi Yang's body tightly, as if he had the whole world by embracing Yi Yang, and he was satisfied physically and mentally. He had never had this feeling before. He didn't know what emotion it was. He only knew that as long as he could see Yi Yang every day, his body and mind would be happy. The next day, before dawn, Jun Yi got up and dressed as usual to go to Holy Harmony Hall for the morning court routine, but he woke up Yi Yang. Yi Yang opened his eyes with great effort, glanced at Jun Yi who got up, and muttered, it's no wonder that emperors are short-lived. Emperors sleep later than dogs, wake up earlier than chickens, and suffer from severe lack of sleep. If things go on like this, how can it be possible for longevity? Jun Yi was speechless. Eunuch Yun, who helped Jun Yi wear the dragon robe, paused for a moment. Originally, he thought that Jun Yi would get angry. But Jun Yi just had a speechless expression and showed no sign of anger. I couldn't help sighing in my heart. Sure enough, young master concubine Yi is the most unique one. So he didn't annoy the emperor at all. Jun Yi got dressed, sat on the edge of the bed, looked at Yi Yang who had opened his eyes, and said with a smile, can I understand that this is concubine Yi's concern for me? This time, Yi Yang was speechless. He just complained, why did he care? Seeing that Yi Yang didn't speak, Zhen Yi was not annoyed. He rubbed Yi Yang's head and said with a smile, "I think you care about me." Yi Yang continued to be speechless. But, then again, is it really necessary to get up so early in the morning court? The length of a day is so long, why can't it be changed to after an hour? When he wanted to make a suggestion, Zhen Yi had already rushed to the morning court, so he shook his head helplessly. Planning to talk about the morning court next time. Thinking that there is still no imperial concubine in the West Palace, and there is no need to go to greet him. Yi Yang was very happy. Closed his eyes and fell asleep beautifully.